Welcome to the Ty and Ry the Finance Guys podcast, covering weekly investment news, important financial topics, and expert interviews. We want to help you become more knowledgeable about the financial world around you. This is not an offer to sell you anything, and remember, past performance doesn't indicate future results. Now your hosts, Ty Hansen and Ryan Robertson.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's a brand new episode. There's Ty Hansen. Well, you can't see him.
We survived.
There's Ty. How you doing, Ty?
I'm great. How are you, buddy?
I don't know. We'll see. It's been a long. It's been a long day.
To be determined.
Yeah.
It's been a long
TBD. We'll see.
TBD.
Yeah.
That's okay though. You know why I'm excited about this?
Why?
I'm excited because Crazy Ryan is fun. When Ryan doesn't give a shit anymore, it's fun. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Well, when you get to the end of the day, like anything goes.
Right.
So
we need to record these. We need to not record these at 5 or later than 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
No. Sometimes it'll be fun. But look, hey.
Or maybe it'll be better. We'll see.
We're doing something new today, Ty. Did you know that?
We are? I like new things.
This one, we're opening up the mailbag.
Yeah.
We're going to see what people have written to us.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Now, we may or may not know these people.
Remember, I'm going to jump in really fast.
Yeah.
If you have more questions, we've loved them. This is great. I love the things that people are telling us. So you can check out our podcast site, tyandry.com, or you can email us, support@myprosperteam.com.
There you go.
So those are two ways to get a hold of us.
Yeah. So this is actually they're doing the work for us today. We're just going to answer a couple of questions.
I actually really like it because it's it takes a little bit of the pressure off of you and me.
Yeah.
So
and hey,
I love it.
Look, this is what people want to know. So we're just going to dive right into these and start going. Here's a question from Noelia. She asks, well, I'm saying she because Noelia sounds like a female, but look.
I think so. Yep.
Whoever you are, Noelia, asks how to start and how much to start investing in stocks.
Good question.
That's a very good question. I don't know. Do you want to answer that?
Okay, let's do this. I have an idea.
Okay.
We'll switch off.
Ooh.
You ask the question, I'll answer, and then we'll switch off, and I'll answer.
We'll see. Yep, there you go.
Okay.
So you answer this
All
one.
Right.
How much
All right.
and
So
how to start?
How to start? Okay, how much do I need and how to start? Okay, well, so it depends where you want to trade. I would always recommend if you don't have a lot of money and you just want to start with, I don't know, a few dollars here or there, not too much money. Robinhood is a great resource.
For now, it's probably
probably
the best.
Yeah, you can't go there and invest if you want to do retirement dollars, right?
Yeah.
So I would start with Robinhood, and I'm assuming Noelia is getting at this idea of like, hey, if I want to buy my own stocks, most people start through their employer 401k plan. That's what's most common. So if you do it there, you're buying whatever stocks and exchange funds and mutual funds that they have. But if you want to go buy your own, something like a Robinhood or even Fidelity too, a lot of the bigger platforms have free services or low commissioned services. And you jump on there, and really, it's not about how to start. It's just and we've got some other questions that'll talk more about like, okay, how do I get into the details of picking stocks or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm always a big fan of saying, hey, I don't care how old you are, if you start doing something and putting something away and investing somewhere, that's awesome. That is all you need to do.
Yeah,
and it's almost like I tell people it's like a cable bill, right? How often do you think about your cable bill, right? Once you just have it going. So if you can get in that habit of just putting something away, if you still have a cable bill. I have a Hulu bill and a Netflix bill and an Apple. Yeah, I have all those bills. So anyways, that's where you start. You go to like the Robinhoods of the world, the places that you don't have to pay for advisory services. There's no other bells and whistles. You just put a little bit of money in there, pick some stocks.
It doesn't cost anything.
So
yeah, I was telling you, my 20-year-old's got one. He got some not Bitcoins, Dogecoin. And
Right.
I told him, okay, now maybe put some in ETF, S&P.
Oh yeah. Did he
Set
ever
up
do
your,
that?
yeah, he still has it.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. And Noelia, start now. Just
Yeah.
$50, $20,
Oh,
whatever.
well, that's the thing too, is the younger you start, the better, right? Time value of money. If you start at age 22 versus 42, right? That's a really big
Yeah.
difference. And a lot less money you have to put in to have more dollars in retirement. So, yeah, just get started. Go somewhere that's cheap. Now, we're advisors, right? And what gets hard is if you want somebody to kind of hold your hand and walk through it, you got to pay for that, right? We've got account minimum, so we don't take somebody that just says, "Hey, here's $50, start my account." Yeah, we just, it doesn't make sense. It's not we're not trying to be jerks. We would love to help those people. It's not
I don't
cost
know.
effective.
Ty, you're a little snooty. Come on.
I am a little bit elitist here.
Yeah.
I'm the 1%er kind of guy, but no. So that's what I'm saying. Go to these places that don't charge any fees because you just want to get the most bang for your buck, literally.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Noelia. Let's go on to the next one. You ready?
Yeah. You're asking me now. I'm the expert on this one.
This comes from Emma.
Hey, Emma.
All right. So Emma's question has to do with, for younger adults, college-aged or a little bit older, how do I prepare to buy my first home or investment properties for real estate?
Mm.
That's a good question.
Yep, simple answer.
It's crazy in the market right
simple
now.
answer. You don't. Just forget about it. Just give up on your dreams. Give up on your dreams. Just move on. It's like you're never gonna own a home. Just the way it is. Sorry.
Is real estate only for the elite 1%
Yeah.
group of people? Yeah. Okay.
Well, this actually might be better for you since you deal with the mortgage side of it. But here, I'll give you a couple things and then you can give them the best answer. So first off,
Okay.
really it's all about credit. That's number one. You got to have good credit. So take care of that thing. And sometimes that's it takes a little bit of time, particularly if you're younger. But if you can't get a small credit card, use it to buy stuff and pay it off every month. Do that for a little bit and you'll be surprised at how much you'll be able to get your credit score up. That's one thing. But then then obviously, look, you got to save money. Like there's just no other way around it. You just have to save money. It's just like starting that stock account. You got to save money. And I think FHA is 3%. So
3.5, 3.5.
3.5.
And there are programs out there that
first time home buyer ones, right?
So in Utah, there's a group called Utah Housing Corporation. They're awesome. You check them out. Utah Housing Corp. I think
my first house. That's what I went through.
Utah Housing. Yeah, it's great. No, they're awesome. I love it.
I think it was 1%.
So you can also get gift. Well, no, you don't even have the way they're structured now. You don't have to put a penny down.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So
zero down.
I just had this conversation the other day with a friend of mine that we talked about this, how crazy the market has been and how hard it's going to be for those getting out of college, first jobs, first time out, buying their first home.
Yep.
It is. It's going to be tough. But
it is crazy.
Again, these things where you're going to be saving money, you're going to be working on your credit score. Now look, there is this method that a lot of people do. You're just going to buy something small and you're just going to move from there, right? You pay it out for 5 years and you might be able to move to a new one. 5 years, move to another one.
One of the biggest financial failures that I have had was my wife and I bought a condo when we were early, young married. It was like back then it was rates were coming down and rents were high. And we ended up buying our first condo in like 2003, I think, 2 or 3, for $80,000. Now you know why it's my biggest mistake. Because we sold it. Because we ended up selling it and we netted like $43,000, $45,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome to have that cash when we bought our second home. But it was like, oh, I wish I still had that thing. Because my mortgage rate on that thing was like, rates are better now, obviously, but like my rate was like, even then it was like 4 or 5%. My payment was like $600 a month.
Right.
And anyways, so yeah, that's, you're absolutely right. So I would say the thing that is, it frustrates me a little bit when young people are like, there's no way to ever buy a house. It's too expensive. It's too this, it's too that. It's like, I get it. It is more difficult than ever to buy a home, right? Super difficult. But what it comes down to is exactly what you said. You have got to save more than before. And you've got to have good credit, and you got to be making some money. And that's the thing. So you can still find properties for under $400,000 and just get started. Get something.
Yeah, just 400,000. You're right.
Right.
Just a shade under 400,000.
I
You probably
know.
get a good property.
That does sound funny now that I say it out loud, but it can happen.
But yeah, the other thing I was
change
going to bring up is the consistent income. Hold a job.
Yeah.
Hold a job for long enough.
I know.
So.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't have a ton of debt, again, you don't have to make a ton of money to still qualify for a condo townhome that's $200,000-$300,000.
Yeah.
It's not difficult.
Yeah, you probably still could.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
Emma, just stick to it.
Just stay the course.
Make it a goal.
That's right.
Make it a goal. You and your partner, whoever it is, you can do it.
He or she.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay, now your turn. Ready?
Yep.
It's from Steve.
Bring it.
How do I determine what stocks are best to pick? Great question.
Ooh. That, my friend, is the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And for the small fee of $99.99
a month,
I can tell you exactly what stocks to pick.
We'll give you the best ones
kidding.
every month.
For the record, auditors and compliance people listening to this call or this podcast, that was a joke. I was not serious.
Yeah.
No, that is a great question. So, Steve, to answer that question, it's hard. It's really, really hard because markets change. And, it really comes down to I would say what's most important is develop your trading philosophy first, right? Are you getting into the market for a long term? Are you trying to day trade in the market? Are you a value investor? Are you a growth investor? Right? So just develop a philosophy, right? Because, like, for example, we actively manage, meaning we'll get in and out of stuff as the markets dictate, as we look at information, right?
Yeah.
And we look at crazy amounts of data all the time, right? I mean, I love data. You don't necessarily have to do that. I love Warren Buffett and some of those other old school investors that are more napkin investors, right? They're like, if you know they've got a good product and you know that, I mean, heck, if you can write the pros and cons on a napkin and it makes sense, then do it, right? And the other thing I would say, so know your philosophy and don't get emotional, right? Because
it's tough.
If you fall in love with a stock or if the stock loses and you're like, well, I have to hold on until it rebounds. As you start to get emotional, it's like, no, you can't do that. As you then start to develop those things, that the philosophies, the strategies, not being too emotional, then you'll start to find specific stocks that, like, I have people that are like, hey, I really love growth side of the market. I love understanding tech. I know these things. It's like, cool. Then those are the stocks you need to focus on and go after.
Right.
Do you want to stay in domestic companies? Do you want to go foreign? Do you want to, invest in different countries? Things like that.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm being a little vague there, Steve, but
you are being vague.
He
wants to know which ones.
It's these. Okay, go by Enron and
WorldCom.
What was the other? Pet.com? Yeah.
Pets.com. Yeah.
Pets.com. So,
okay.
Good question. All right, I'm going to now ask you one. It's my turn.
Yep.
This one actually comes from my nephew, Jake.
What's up, Jake?
Not Jake from State Farm. Okay, so he asks, and I gotta set this question up a little bit. He wants to understand, like, what is the process? How should I go about getting after monies, be it coming from retirement or savings, when you run into hiccups or problems in life? Right, problems in quotations, right? Like, so.
Wait,
so I guess
you
what
mean
he's
money
getting
in
at
your
is,
retirement account?
yeah, like so. Let's just say all of a sudden, for example, with the shutdown and kind of some of the changes with everything, I noticed that some people, like National Guard and things like that, they're getting laid off and fired.
Right.
So when something like that happens, what should the process be to start taking away from your retirement or your savings, or like what should that process look like?
Well,
how do we plan accordingly for those kinds of situations?
That's probably the better. Well, what's the general rule of thumb? 6 months worth of income?
Yep, absolutely.
6 months. I mean, that's obviously kind of the first hurdle to get to, right? You start off where you're at 6 months. That's your emergency savings. Then you can move from that to start saving into retirement plans for more longer term. But I mean, that's the hardest one, I think, from just about everybody to get to, that I find, is 6 months worth of income.
Yeah.
It's tough because what it means is I'm not touching that money. I'm not doing anything with it. And it's hard to just see it.
Yeah, I have people ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, should I take that 6 months and put it somewhere?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no. Like maybe, okay, if you can find a really good savings account that's going to give you like 1% a year, awesome.
I mean,
Yeah, don't touch it.
Yeah, that's the first step with it. And you always hear people talk about like, and have some cash set aside too somewhere.
Yeah.
Like not even in a bank.
So I would say that let's look at this from a different angle. Let's say you don't have 6 months reserves, but you do have a work 401k and there's 20 grand in there. Now, some people may say I'm crazy, but it's like, look, if you're, it's all relative to the situation you're in, right? If you lose your job and you're going to get into crazy financial trouble, maybe you're going to lose your house. And then we know it's short term. If we know it's short term, right? Taking out a bunch of credit card debt or other debt that's ugly and you've got a bunch of crappy interest rates that you're going to have to dig out of, it's like, okay, and in my opinion, at that point, I don't think it's a bad thing to take some of the money out of your 401k. You can take hardship withdrawals for medical, other financial hardships, things like that, and they won't hit you with any kind of a early withdrawal penalty. Now you're going to have to pay taxes, which is frustrating. Mm-hmm. But I would say there are instances, and maybe that's, I think, more what Jake's getting at here is, should we ever access it? And I think you should, if there's nothing else available, right? Family can't help you. Maybe like if you are, I know a lot of times churches will help people, like, if you're a religious person. Again, if those things won't work, if you don't have any other savings, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And again, it's just talk to Fidelity, talk to whomever that organization is or that group is that you have your monies invested with, and just see what their withdrawal terms are. Right? Yeah. And because again, it's all about cost of capital. What's going to be like, obviously the further you get behind your mortgage, there's penalties, there's late fees, there's legal fees. You could lose your house, which is for most people is a good investment that they own. So in those instances, do not be afraid to take that out and pull some of that out of retirement. So,
this is a good quote from Warren Buffett. Someone asked him one time, "Hey, I've got $5,000. I could either pay off my credit card or give it to you to invest. What should I do?" And Warren Buffett said, "Well, I can't make 24% returns a year for you to offset the interest that you're getting. So pay your credit card off." Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of that idea. Like,
awesome. No, that is such a great way to say it.
Things come up.
Exactly.
So I don't know, Jake. Maybe that answers your question. I don't know. Ask Jake another one.
State Farm.
For the next mailbag, ask another one, Jake.
Or Jake, just give me a call. We'll talk about it, bud.
Yeah. All right. Next one, just for you, Ty. This is from Danny and Sarah.
You're asking me. Sorry, I thought you meant.
I'm asking you. This is from Danny and Sarah. If you're listening, Danny and Sarah, this is from you guys.
I love it.
When or how should I convert to Roth? Good one. I've had this question in the last week. I bet you I've had 10 people ask me this question.
Yeah.
It is. Wanting to, how to do it, all that. When and how, Ty? Give them the lowdown.
So how to convert? I mean, it just depends on if it's, if you sprinkle or if it's like full conversion, like full.
English. You're fully converted or you're half converted, right? Yeah. This is a Sunday question.
This
is the question they have to ask on Sunday.
That was a really blasphemous joke. I'm sorry. There's different methods to baptismal conversions, and that's what I was making a joke on. I'm sorry. That was bad.
Not a very good joke type. You can't
we just lost 50 listeners. Sorry, guys. So how to convert to Roth and when should you convert to Roth? So Roth. So again, just a quick clarification. Traditional IRAs, 401ks, they are tax deferred, meaning you've saved taxes in the beginning, but you have to pay taxes when you're done. Roth is you don't get any tax benefits today, but you when you pull that money out after certain age and time and things like that, it's all tax free. So then everybody's like, well, okay, I have a bunch of traditional IRA or 401k. If I convert it, there's no 10% penalty. Okay, that's a big deal. And there's the only thing that happens in that year is if, let's say, you convert 10 grand, you are taxed on that $10,000, right? You get a 1099. So you will pay some tax, some ordinary income tax. No penalties, but ordinary income tax. So how and when is there are very specific I don't want to say calculations. I don't want to make it too complex, but it's like you really just have to look, okay, how much total income do I have on the year, right? And if I convert too many dollars, is that going to kick me up into a much higher tax bracket? Am I going to lose? Like, am I going to start to phase out of different deductions? Things like that. You got to look at those situations to understand. You don't want to cause more tax problems by doing the Roth conversion. You want to make sure it's a good year to do it. And that's what we do. You and I do that. We help people go through those calculations and figure that stuff out all the time. So what I also like to tell people is, if you're younger and you're contributing, ask yourself that same question. It's like, well, do I really want to be contributing to my traditional, or do I want to go to Roth? My CPA every year, he's like, dude, why are you not putting more in traditional? Save yourself some taxes. I'm like, I don't want to. I know it sounds stupid from a tax standpoint, but I don't want to. Because I know I'm going to grow those dollars the next 20 plus years, and I would rather not pay any taxes on a good chunk of that money down the road.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I would say, last little thought here too, is, if you're in your 50s, early to mid 50s, start looking at like maybe a 5 to 10, maybe even a 15-year plan to convert every year.
Yeah.
Right.
You just slowly do that.
Yeah. And if you do that over time, you're gonna pay the piper, and you're probably making good money when you're 50, 55, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's understanding that, hey, it's okay. I don't mind if I'm paying a little bit of tax along the way, because as those dollars have been converted and they continue to grow, you're not going to pay any more taxes on the growth. So that's how you want to convert, and really do some analysis.
And think about it as far as RMDs, which we actually have a question about RMDs. So Roth,
let me ask you that.
Roth and traditional money have to do with that differently. But RMDs, we'll talk about it in just a sec. Just keep that in mind.
Well, let's go to that one. I'll ask you that question.
Okay.
So this one's from Gary. Gary wants to know, how does so just for everybody listening, Ryan, you tell us, what is RMD, A, and B, mm-hmm. How does it work? What is it?
So first off, RMDs are you just say the whole thing. It's earned.
Ryan, what is earned?
Yeah. Required minimum distributions. So the government hasn't gotten any tax money from any of your investments in your pre-tax traditional retirement money, and they want it, right? Because the government's greedy. They want your money.
They have to pay for all this crazy crap.
Yeah, they gotta, we gotta run $1 billion or $1 trillion country. But anyway, so they put the required minimum distribution on retirement accounts, not Roth accounts, but on traditional accounts.
Right.
Because they want the tax money, and they start those at age 72 now. It used to be 70 and a half, not 72, because everybody's obviously older.
Yep.
And it's basically amortized to liquidate your account. I don't even know how long it is. Do they do like a 30-year? Like it's
it's
increases every year.
Yeah, there's a specific percentage, but it's based on the total dollar amount, not in every. So let me take a step back.
So if you got $100,000, say use $100,000, you're going to take a very small percentage of that, and I want to say 2.7%,
No,
3%.
no. It's like, I want to say it's more. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. In fact, there's
It can't
if you
be
just
that high.
Google RMD calculator,
Oh, really?
you can plug it in. It's super easy to do. But
So obviously, I'm not the person to ask
6 or
this
7%.
question to.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. So it's a certain percentage. I want to say it's like 6 or 7%. But anyways, it's based on the dollar amount, not the number of accounts. So you could have one IRA with all the money, or 10 IRAs each with a little bit of money. It's the sum of all pre-tax dollars, traditional dollars. Yep.
But that's it. Kind of goes back to your question before. You convert that to Roth, that required minimum distribution goes away, because now you can take that money out anytime you want, and you're not forced to take any of it out, even all the way up until you die. But there is that for money that has not been taxed, you will be required to start taking that money out at 72, and you have to do it every year, and you have to do it by the end of the year. And keep in mind, if you own a property, which a lot of people may,
I love that. Good point.
You have to make sure that you got enough liquid capital to take out, because otherwise,
so
you'll get stuck
the
with
amount
penalty.
you were it's a pretty nasty penalty. It's like I want to say it's 50% of what you should have taken out as the penalty. So if your dollar amount was 10 grand or something, I want to say it's like 50% of that gets added on top of it. It's a nasty penalty.
Yeah,
it's one of the worst penalties there is.
So you got to make sure that you're planning for that in advance. Make sure you get enough cash.
And you can still keep it invested. You don't have to take cash and spend it on groceries or a trip to wherever. But you just convert it, right? So you say, okay, Fidelity, I want to do an RMD, take it out of my traditional IRA and put it into a regular taxable brokerage account. And they account for the taxes, they pay the piper, and now your dollars are still invested and still growing. But you have to do something with it. It has to come out one way, shape, or form. So
yeah. I think we got that done. Thanks, Gary. Yep. All right, this is actually.
What do you say? Let's each do one more.
This question,
one for you, one for me.
Yeah, this question's actually a good one for you, since you're a bigger nerd than I am. Where is the best place to get good information? Now, I don't know why this is good information. I'm doing air quotes. Good information. About the market. This is from Doug, by the way.
Thanks, Doug. I actually like that Doug put good information in quotation marks, because that's a great point, is what is considered good information nowadays. Good gravy. So there's a lot of different research. So we actually,
it's kind of like, where do you get your news from? I don't know.
Exactly. That's actually, I like the way you say that. The big point I want people to take away, like, I'll go to a lot of different sites, Wall Street Journal, Yahoo. I mean, I go to a bunch of different places, just read different articles. There's different people we follow, like Jaron Timmerman from Fidelity. There's Mike Minnick is a guy we do some trading with, and really smart guy. I read some of the information he provides. There's a boatload of analysts. And I would say too, again, email us, support@myprosperteam.com. And I'm happy to respond to that and give you more specific information of where you can go. The hard thing with that, the reason it's hard for me to tell you exactly, is for the most part, most sources that give you information, it's always going to be slightly biased, because they're trying to sell subscriptions. That's actually what I wanted to take away from this for Doug's question is take the in fact, even some of the sources I follow, some days I'm like, what? Like, that is literally like, there's nobody out there that knows what's going on, or there's not really anything going on, and they're just it's a slow news day, right? So they try and embellish things that are going on in the market. And so that's where it's like, there's another group called Market Watch. Anyways, Bloomberg's really good, but a lot of these services like Bloomberg, Y charts, we pay a lot of money to get data, and they tend to be a little bit more dense. But I will say this: there are some services out there. If you're truly trading, if you want to be a trader, or you want to do some more research, pay the money, because what you find is, if you pay for like a newspaper subscription, right? You are going to get stuff that's a little more sensationalized, because they want you to make sure you're getting your money's worth, and they want to make sure that you are kind of staying hooked.
Yeah, and they're
right?
not giving you bad advice, and then you're like, oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say necessarily bad advice. It maybe just is over embellished advice. So it's like muddled water, muddied the water kind of advice.
Yeah.
Versus, no, you go pay for a subscription service that's kind of boring and bland, and that's what it's going to be. To be frank, it's going to be. In fact, like I said, Jern that we follow, the Fidelity guy, I would say that 99% of people listening, if they went and followed him on Twitter or wherever and read his stuff, you'd be like, what in the devil is he talking about? He's so dry. I love it. I seriously geek out every day when I read his stuff because I'm like, because he's awesome. He's so smart. But anyways, that's my point. So if you're serious about getting good information and you're trading on it at all, there's services out there $50 to $100 a month. And in my opinion, it's worth every penny because it's more data heavy and less sensationalized. And so, and that's, I guess my last thought is everything and anything you read, ask yourself why, like, okay, if it's a little bit slanted, why are they slanting it one way or the other, right? And does the rest of the financial like, for example, right now everybody's like, oh, the markets are imploding because of inflation. It's like, yeah, I mean, inflation's been crazy, but all the economic, anyways, it's those sensationalized headlines. I'm like, no, that's not the problem. That's not what's going on right now, right? So, anyways, long-winded answer. So there's a lot of different good places. Like I said, Yahoo, Google Finance, Bloomberg, bunch of different good sources.
Yeah,
there, so.
You just know you've got to sift through a handful of stuff. Just don't read one and feel like you got it all because it's likely not the thing.
That's exactly right. I wish I could. I want to say All Media. There is a really good source, and this is the other thing too. I would say what also is as important is not only financial news, but just get good news about what's going on around the country with our economy, right? Because chances are, if something big and major and ugly is happening, like the government shutdown, right? The $3.5 trillion plus infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
Understanding what's going on with that helps you understand what's fundamentally going on in the country. And I want to say it's either All News or allmedia.com. One of that. So my wife subscribes to that because they'll go out and they'll read articles from the left side and from the right side of the political spectrum, and they'll kind of say, okay, these ones are more centered in the middle. And, and anyways, so my point is there are sites out there that are more centered and can kind of tell you, okay, this leans more left, this leans more right, so take it for what it's worth. So, okay, last question for you.
Here's the caboose.
From Jan.
Ooh.
From Jan. Jan from California. All right, how can I buy cryptocurrency in my IRA? Good question, Jan.
Maybe a simple answer. Don't. Well, it's the second one. It's the second one I've had that said don't. Well, okay, I just had this conversation today with a guy who was interested in that. So it's a little bit more difficult of a question to answer because cryptocurrencies are not regulated. So a lot of trading platforms, you just can't buy it, particularly through even just regular trading platforms, and especially if you've got an IRA set up. Very, very difficult. Right. In an IRA, it's got to be a self-directed IRA. So you got to have a custodian that is set up to do that, which we've looked at this in the past. There are not very many. There's a few. There are not very many.
They're expensive.
And they're very expensive. And I think this is what I think about them, what I think is going on with it. And I think that people, if they're going to think about doing this, they need to take a little bit deeper dive into the companies. Is because you're going to have a structure that allows you to actually trade these cryptocurrencies that are not like normally buying a stock. You're going to have to somehow, money's going to have to transfer to some sort of different account, like it's some sort of maybe trust account. I don't even know what it would have to be, but it would have to be some sort of trading platform that separates it from the IRA enough and keeps it into an account that it's not going to be taxable because it can't be taxed if it's in an IRA. So the answer is you can. And yes, there are a couple of custodians that we've seen, not many. But expensive. I'm a teeny bit nervous about how they're running it. Maybe it's
I
above
am
board.
too.
I don't know. I don't know at this
am
point.
too.
I think we need some years, and we need regulation to come in before it's going to be really accepted widespread. So,
and that's been as we've talked about cryptos before. That's been one of my bigger concerns is the lack of a secondary market. Right, secondary markets are really important. So when you don't have that, you add the layer of the IRA or wrapper around that it complicates the problems even more. Again, should you not do it? I don't know. I mean, we're saying for the most part, probably not, but you can definitely do it and just know you're going to pay a pretty penny to do it somewhere.
Yeah, you're going to be paying quite a bit. In fact, I think the one we saw was probably upwards of $600 a year.
Oh, even more. There was one I remember seeing, it was like $1,000 a year.
Well, but and I don't even think that is the trades too. You got to pay.
No, that's not even the trade. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and that's kind of the problem too. Like you said, I mean, obviously people are like, well, I don't want to wait because I'll miss the opportunity. It's like, okay, again, FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, go back and watch that one. That one's a good one. Listen to that one.
That is a good one. But yeah, it's like that people, since there's very little supply of trading platforms, they're kind of gouging on trades big time.
They really are.
They can. So anytime there's that kind of a practice going on in the world you want to trade in, you got to ask yourself, why am I trading in this world?
Yeah. So listen, Jan, listen to me. If you're listening, Jan, be careful. Be careful with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good times, man. These were good questions.
Yeah. Everybody, send us more. I would probably rather do this every time. Right?
I think I would. No, I
love
seriously.
the questions.
I would way rather just sit here. In fact, maybe we ought to think about this. Not until I fix the Wi-Fi here at my office. We should do a YouTube live stream. That would be fun. Or Instagram. We could go live on Instagram. We should do a live stream and answer questions that way. I think that'd be fun.
That would be fun. And
then all three people listening can get on.
But yeah, appreciate all the questions. Keep them coming. We'll do another mailbag every so often. And go through it. I like
Uncle Ryan's mailbag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just send it. Just mail it right in. Put stamp on it. Mail it in.
I don't even think I have anything to physically mail something with right now. I'd have to go look in a box and find that.
No. Anybody who's listening, go to tyandry.com, hit subscribe, and follow us. We're on Instagram. We make a lot of posts on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, we do.
So go ahead. Go there. Follow us.
Welcome.
Send us
We love you.
questions.
We'll accept you.
Yes. All right, Ty. Way to go. Way to answer those questions.
You too, brother.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
Have a good week. See you later.
All right.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Ty and Rye, the Finance Guys podcast today. If you like what you heard, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you won't miss any future episodes. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Ty and Rye Podcast. Also, check us out at myprosperteam.com. Thanks. We will see you next week.